In 1934, a daring group of acrobats balanced atop the iconic Empire State Building, demonstrating their extraordinary skill and the bold spirit of New York City during the Great Depression. Completed just 3 years earlier in 1931, the Empire State Building was then the tallest structure in the world, standing at 1,250 feet, a beacon of human ambition in a time of economic despair. This breathtaking performance was not just a feat of physical prowess, but also a reflection of the era's resilience, as New Yorkers sought moments of joy and spectacle to lift their spirits. The image of these acrobats high above the city captures the adventurous essence of a society determined to rise above its challenges, both figuratively and literally. In 1884, the Statue of Liberty was under construction in Paris, a joint endeavor by French sculptor Frédéric-Auguste Bartholdi and engineer Gustave Eiffel. Designed to commemorate the centennial of American independence and symbolize the lasting friendship between France and the United States. The statue was constructed with a framework of iron and a skin of copper. This photograph captures the workers assembling the statue's colossal pieces, including the iconic hand and torch. The project embodied the spirit of innovation and collaboration, resulting in a masterpiece that, upon its arrival in New York Harbor, would become a global symbol of freedom and democracy. In 1924, the Eiffel Tower underwent a major repainting project, a vital effort to maintain its structural integrity and timeless appeal. Originally built for the 1889 Exposition Universelle, the tower requires regular maintenance to protect it from corrosion caused by the elements. During this extensive refurbishment, workers applied multiple layers of paint high above the Parisian skyline, ensuring its resilience for years to come. This restoration not only refreshed the tower's iconic appearance, but also reinforced its role as a cherished symbol of Paris, preserving its place in the evolving architectural narrative of the 20th century. In February 1934, workers at Hoover Dam were busy pouring concrete into its massive columns, marking a critical phase in the construction of this engineering marvel. The first concrete had been poured on June 6, 1933, and by the end of the project, over 3.25 million cubic yards were used for the dam itself, with an additional 1.1 million cubic yards for the power plant and other structures. To manage the intense heat generated during curing, engineers embedded over 582 miles of cooling pipes into the concrete. Completed in 1936, the dam was not only a monumental project of the Great Depression that provided thousands of jobs, but also an infrastructure feat that controlled the Colorado River, supplied irrigation water, and produced hydroelectricity, fueling the growth of the American Southwest. In 1938, Dr. Edward Bloch, a Jewish physician who had treated Adolf Hitler's family, was photographed in his office in Linz, Austria. Dr. Bloch had cared for Hitler's mother, Clara, during her battle with breast cancer, earning Hitler's gratitude. Despite the rampant anti-Semitism of the Nazi regime, Hitler referred to Bloch as a noble Jew and offered him protection. This unusual relationship allowed Bloch to continue his medical practice longer than most Jewish doctors of the time. However, by October 1938, his practice was forcibly closed, and he faced increasing restrictions. In 1940, with assistance from Nazi officials, Bloch emigrated to the United States, escaping the persecution that consumed much of Europe's Jewish population during World War II. In August 1922, members of the Cretonne Club gathered at Canvey Island, Essex, donning their distinctive floral-patterned cretonne shirts and dresses, which became a defining feature of their gatherings. The group was photographed playing leapfrog on the beach, capturing the joyful leisure activities that characterized the post-World War I era. Cretonne, a durable cotton fabric with bold floral designs, was widely used for both clothing and home furnishings, symbolizing a return to domestic comfort and vibrancy. The club's activities and attire reflected a broader cultural shift of the 1920s as communities embraced lightheartedness and togetherness after the hardships of the war. In 1927, a woman is seen sewing at the Black Manufacturing Company in Seattle, a prominent factory known for its Black Bear brand of work clothing. Founded in 1902, the company employed over 300 workers, most of them women, and produced thousands of garments daily. This period marked a significant shift as women increasingly entered the workforce, embracing economic opportunities and redefining their roles in society during the transformative 1920s. In approximately 1916, United States Navy Lieutenant Mark Andrew Mitcher is seen seated in a Curtiss A-type seaplane at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida, marking an early chapter in the history of naval aviation. Mitcher, one of the pioneers of military flight, would later become a key figure in World War II, commanding aircraft carriers and shaping the tactics of modern naval warfare. The Curtiss A-type seaplane, an advanced design for its time, reflects the Navy's growing recognition of the critical role of air power in maritime strategy during the early 20th century. On May 23, 1947, Jean Duquet, crowned Miss Tampa, garnered attention by modeling a two-piece bathing suit, reflecting the post-war cultural shift towards greater freedom and boldness in women's fashion. Her appearance coincided with the rising popularity of the bikini, which had been introduced just a year earlier, symbolizing a new era of body positivity and evolving standards of femininity. On February 23, 1912, New York City was struck by a powerful storm with winds reaching up to 110 miles per hour, causing widespread destruction across the city. The violent gusts damaged buildings, uprooted trees, and shattered street infrastructure, exposing the fragility of urban design to extreme weather. This event not only underscored the immense force of nature, but also sparked discussions on enhancing the city's resilience and preparedness for future climate challenges. Librado Rivera and Enrique Flores Magón were key leaders of the Mexican Revolution, championing social justice and political reform during the early 20th century. As influential members of the Mexican Liberal Party, they advocated for anarchist and socialist principles, openly opposing the oppressive rule of Porfirio Diaz. Their efforts not only inspired revolutionary movements within Mexico, but also resonated with labor and immigrant communities in the United States, highlighting the struggles of the Mexican people and the urgent need for systemic change. The launch of the USS Shangri aircraft carrier 38 in 1944 was a landmark moment in United States naval history during World War II. As one of the final Essex-class aircraft carriers commissioned, the Shangri-La was named after the mythical utopia from James Hilton's novel, symbolizing hope amidst the war. Designed to support large-scale air operations, the carrier played a vital role in pivotal battles in the Pacific, including the Philippines and Iwo Jima. Her launch showcased the industrial strength of the United States and marked a turning point in the development of naval aviation, solidifying the aircraft carrier's critical role in modern military strategy. In March 1945, members of the United Service Organizations visited the USS General RMlatchford, a transport ship active during the World War II, bringing much-needed entertainment and morale-boosting activities to the crew. As part of their mission, the USO provided live performances, recreational programs, and a connection to home for servicemen stationed far from their families. Their presence not only lifted the spirits of the troops, but also underscored the importance of community support in sustaining morale during one of the most challenging times in American history. Around 1949, a model aircraft carrier was displayed at the Naval Air Station Twin Cities in Minnesota, symbolizing the post-World War II advancements in naval aviation and the United States' focus on military preparedness during the early Cold War. This model not only highlighted the innovative designs of modern aircraft carriers, but also emphasized the strategic significance of naval power in an evolving global landscape. Exhibitions like these at naval air stations served to educate and train personnel, ensuring they were equipped to handle the complexities of modern naval operations. On August 21, 1948, Mrs. Ed Hartzler was photographed carefully inspecting her shelves of canned goods in Alpha, Minnesota, embodying the post-war values of self-reliance and home preservation. After World War II, canning became a widespread practice among American families, particularly in rural areas, as a means of ensuring food security and reducing dependence on store-bought goods. The practice of canning dates back to the early 19th century when it was first developed in France, but it gained immense popularity in the United States during the Great Depression and World War II due to rationing and food shortages. In 1945, the United States Army Air Force's Kellett XR-8 helicopter conducted notable hovering flights at Philadelphia Airport, demonstrating cutting-edge advancements in rotorcraft technology. Designed as a prototype during the early 1940s, the XR-8 featured a dual-rotor system with offset horizontal rotors, a revolutionary innovation aimed at improving stability and eliminating the need for a traditional tail rotor. This experimental aircraft not only showcased the technological ambitions of the era, but also laid the foundation for future progress in helicopter engineering, significantly influencing rotorcraft design and performance in the following decades. The barbecue at James Heisler's house in Jacksonville, Florida, epitomized Southern hospitality and the sense of community during the mid-20th century. Barbecues like this were more than just meals. They were social events where families and neighbors came together to share food, stories, and laughter. Featuring traditional Southern flavors and grilled meats, these gatherings reflected the region's deep culinary roots. In April 1913, the magnificent East African lions, collected during the Smithsonian Roosevelt African Expedition of 1909 to 1910, were unveiled in Mammal Hall of the newly established United States National Museum, now called the National Museum of Natural History. Expertly mounted by taxidermist George B. Turner, the exhibit showcased 3 adult lions and 2 cubs arranged in a lifelike scene at an African water hole. This display highlighted the splendor of wildlife and reflected the early 20th century fascination with exploration and conservation, as museums aim to educate the public about Africa's diverse ecosystems and the importance of their preservation. In 1919, 6 individuals stand proudly beside a Curtiss Oriole at an aviation meet in Houston, Texas, showcasing a milestone in early American aviation. In the background is a Curtiss JN biplane with the name Sterling Edmund Jones Cox, paying tribute to Sterling Edmund Jones Cox, a trailblazing aviator who founded Houston's first commercial airline the same year. Operating a fleet that included the Curtiss Jenny and 2 Curtiss Orioles, Cox's Southern Aircraft Company played a key role in introducing commercial aviation to Texas, reflecting the rapid advancements in air travel during the post-World War I era. In 1916, Wilbert Robinson, one of the most renowned figures in baseball history, became the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, a position he would hold for 18 seasons. Robinson, affectionately nicknamed Uncle Robbie, led the team during a pivotal era of Major League Baseball, steering them to their first National League pennant in 1916 and again in 1920. Known for his innovative strategies and nurturing leadership, he earned a reputation for developing young talent and fostering a strong sense of team camaraderie. Under his guidance, the Dodgers evolved into a competitive force, cementing Robinson's legacy as a cornerstone of Brooklyn's storied baseball tradition. In the early 20th century, near Big Springs, Nebraska, a covered wagon pulled by jackrabbit mules shared the trail with an automobile, creating a striking contrast between the old and new. This rare scene symbolized a pivotal moment in American history as traditional forms of transportation began to coexist with the automobile, heralding the modernization of the nation. Jackrabbit mules, known for their speed and endurance, were a unique sight, reflecting the ingenuity of rural settlers adapting to their environment. Meanwhile, the arrival of automobiles marked the start of a technological revolution that would forever transform the landscape of the American West. In this photograph from the early 1900s, Bill Snyder poses with Hattie, a famous elephant who captivated audiences with her tricks at Central Park. Hattie was a key part of the zoo and circus culture of the time, drawing crowds fascinated by exotic animals and live performances. This image captures a moment of trust and camaraderie between a trainer and his elephant. Between 1910 and 1915, worming at Belmont Farm for girls highlighted the institution's focus on agricultural education and hands-on learning. The program equipped young women with essential farming and animal care skills, fostering independence and resilience. Belmont Farm was a groundbreaking initiative, empowering its students while advancing women's education in the early 20th century. Between 1910 and 1915, the Floating Hospital was a pioneering initiative that provided medical care to underserved communities along the waterways of New York City. This unique hospital, situated on a barge, was staffed by dedicated nurses who not only delivered essential health care, but also promoted public health and hygiene in an era plagued by urban poverty and disease. The Floating Hospital marked a turning point in healthcare accessibility, demonstrating the value of mobile medical services and highlighting the critical contributions of nurses to community well-being during the early 20th century. In 1916, Mary West Niles led a transformative women's class at Canton Seminary, exemplifying the growing movement for women's education in the early 20th century. The seminary focused on empowering young women through academic learning and spiritual development, creating an environment where they could expand their intellectual horizons and cultivate leadership skills. Mary West Niles' dedication to education not only inspired her students, but also contributed to the societal changes of the time, encouraging women's active roles in both public and private life and laying the foundation for future generations. In 1912, the frozen harbor of Gloucester, Massachusetts, created a picturesque yet challenging winter scene for its coastal community. Renowned for its maritime heritage, Gloucester faced significant disruptions to its fishing industry as icy waters halted regular operations. During these months, locals displayed remarkable adaptability, finding alternative livelihoods while maintaining their enduring connection to the sea. This photograph not only captures the serene beauty of a frozen harbor, but also tells a story of resilience and determination in the face of nature's challenges. In 1915, the acclaimed actress Blanche Sweet sat for this stunning portrait by renowned photographer Hartsook, epitomizing the elegance of early Hollywood. A trailblazer of silent cinema, Sweet was admired for her compelling performances and was among the first to bridge the gap between stage and screen. This image not only captures her timeless beauty, but also symbolizes her vital contribution to the evolving film industry during its formative years. In September 1905, Norway received its first shipment of bananas, weighing 3,000 kilograms, marking a significant milestone in the nation's culinary history. This event was made possible by Christian Mathieson, a former sea captain and businessman who later founded Norway's largest fruit importer, Bama. Mathieson had secured exclusive rights to import bananas to Scandinavia after an encounter with British banana importer A. Roger Ackerley during a train journey from London to Newcastle. Interestingly, Norway became the second European country, after the United Kingdom, to import bananas. This tropical fruit quickly gained popularity and reflected the expanding global trade networks of the early 20th century. In November 1941, the Royal Navy's aircraft carrier HMS Illustrious docked at the Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Virginia for essential repairs after sustaining severe battle damage during the Mediterranean campaign. Earlier that year, the Illustrious had been heavily targeted by Italian dive bombers, exposing the vulnerabilities of even the most advanced naval vessels in intense aerial combat. The carrier's repair and modernization at an American shipyard symbolized the critical cooperation between the United Kingdom and the United States during World War II.